I'm Leo Sidran with The Art of the Story. Sometimes, as they say, when one door closes, another one opens. Few musicians embody that idea better than Marcus Miller. Miller is one of the most influential bass players of his generation. Among musicians, all you have to do is say his name, and it evokes a whole universe, the sound of the electric bass reshaping jazz, funk, and R&B. Over the years, he's worked with an extraordinary range of artists, from David Sanborn to Herbie Hancock, Aretha Franklin to Beyoncé. But the collaboration that cemented his reputation, not just as a bass player, but as a producer with a real musical point of view, was his work with Miles Davis. Marcus worked with Miles throughout the 80s and famously co-produced his 1986 album Tutu, ushering in a bold new sound for the iconic trumpeter, a sound that blended synthesizers, funk grooves, and jazz improvisation in a way that helped redefine what modern jazz could be. Miles Davis, of course, built a career on that very instinct, constantly searching for the next sound, the next musician, the next direction. But, as Miller recently told WBGO's Pat Prescott, the chain of events that led to that collaboration began with something else entirely, by losing another gig and answering a phone call.
I was doing sessions in New York, playing with Roberta Flack, and Luther and I were doing gigs with Roberta on the road, and one day on the way home from a gig, Roberta calls me over. We were on a plane, and she calls me to her seat, and she says, "I'm firing you and Luther." I go, "Why are you firing us? We're doing a great job." She says, "You guys are too expensive, and you have no business playing with me anymore." She must have gone over her finances with her accountant, and her accountant probably said, "You got to get rid of those two, okay?" Because we were like,
expensive ones.
The expensive ones. You know what I mean? I don't know. I was very young and wasn't really aware of that stuff. But she says, "Anyway, listen, I see you doing great things, Marcus. I see you not playing bass in anybody's band unless you've produced their album, right?" She says, "I see you playing with the greats like Miles Davis, right?" And I'm like, look to myself, Miles Davis, this is 1979. Miles hasn't played a note since 1975. I don't even know if he's alive. She's just being nice as she fires me. You know what I mean? But within a year, Pat, Miles makes a comeback, or at least maybe 2 years, Miles makes a comeback. And I get a call, a random call. I'm on some session for an R&B group, and the note says, "Call Miles." And I said, wow, I'd heard that maybe he was, around, but I didn't believe it. It was Miles Davis. And he said, "Hey, man, can you be at Columbia in a couple of hours?" "Is this really you?" He said, "Yeah, mother." I said, okay, that's Miles. From what I heard, that's Miles, And within a couple of hours, I was in the studio with Miles Davis. You know what I mean? It was just a surreal experience.
Marcus Miller answered the phone, and it changed the sound of jazz. And in this year, marking what would have been Miles Davis's 100th birthday, you can't help but wonder who he'd be calling today, searching for the future. I'm Leo Sidran, WBGO News.